Hey folks, this is Matt aka Slash, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Today we're going to be giving an orbital flight an attempt. We're going to try and put Jebediah in a big ol' free fall circle around the planet. And I already built my attempt for an orbital here, or an orbital spacecraft. And here it is. Let me walk you through the parts a little bit here. Let's start at the top. We've got the parachute attached as per usual, last thing we deploy. We got our one-person command pod, same as last time, decoupler. Then I threw on an advanced SAS. I don't think I used an advanced one last time. I think I just used a standard one, and we had some autopilot control issues with the ship listing one direction or the other. So I went with the advanced one this time to see if that helps. Right here in these two yellow bands is the RCS fuel. RCS is it's a control system, rudderless control system, I think might be what it stands for. But it's these little thrusters. I've got, these are four-way thrusters. They can fire each of these four directions, and I have them mounted on 4 points, like the points of a compass, on here and down here as well, to give me some control on this, which is the orbital stage. When we're out of the atmosphere, we don't have any other ability to control our direction. Well, we do. We can move slightly, just thanks to the gyros in the SAS throwing weight around, but the thrusters are the more efficient way to go. Then we have two fuel tanks, there and there. And then in here is actually one of our regular rockets, liquid-fueled rockets. Then we have, I don't know how well you can see it, 3 fuel tanks and another rocket down here below. Finally, we finished the rocket up with 4 of these guys. These are solid rocket boosters, or SRBs. And they're different from the liquid fuel in that when they fire at one thrust setting. I can't throttle them one way or the other. And they will burn until they are empty. There's no turning them off once they're turned on. But they have a lot more power, so they're very useful for getting up off of the launch pad and into at least the, higher parts of the atmosphere from the beginning. And then we have our little stabilizer things to keep our ship steady on the launch pad. Now let's just double check our staging here. We have our rocket boosters going, and we want those going at the same time that these decouple. Now if I highlight one of these, it also on the right hand side over here highlights this, and vice versa. So now I can click that, it expands, highlights them all, I can drag them down. I want them to disengage the same time these fire. Then, the next thing I want is when these are done, I want these guys that you can kind of see right there to disengage them. And when that disengages, I want this engine to fire. So as when we drop these off the edge, I want this engine here to go ahead and light up. So we're going to move this engine down to the same stage, and everything renumbers itself automatically. Then after that has burned out, we're going to disconnect from here. And I'm going ahead and keep these as 2 separate stages so that I can activate this rocket after some time. Let this stage drift away, because hopefully we'll be up in above atmosphere trajectory by the time we have to do that. And then finally, we disconnect from here on our way back down and fire off the parachute when it's time to go. So let's give this thing a shot and see if we can't get a Kerbin into orbit, or a Kerman into orbit. So let's head to the launch pad. I did give this a try once before and had some problems with the recording, so I'm doing it again. Not going to tell you how well I did with this particular design. No spoilers. It's a Penny Arcade reference. Jebediah, my friend. You ready to go? You are too in awe of your surroundings to know for sure. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and set the throttle for 80 for when we launch or fire the liquid rocket. And I may scale that up if the solid rocket boosters get us up higher than I expect, but that's probably going to be good enough for fuel efficiency. Let's put the targeting computer on so that we go up as straight and narrow as we possibly can. And we will launch in 3, 2, 1, launch! And away we go. Now, I didn't put any struts in. Struts are little, just bars that you can connect parts with. And I think that's what's causing this rotation. We started out about 45 degrees rotated from where we are now. And I think what's happening here is that these are mounted in the middle, and I think the force of their thrust is actually causing them to tilt somewhat to the side and giving us a small degree of spin. Which is okay. I think we can correct for it when we need to. We're about halfway done on our solid fuel. We can also check our resources up here. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. I'm not sure what this number is. 70 point... It's not telling me. 70 point something. We're listing a little bit to the side. That's okay. I'm not gonna go for too perfect of an orbit here. I just want to get an orbit. I don't need it going over the equator or anything like that, is what I mean. Whoa, okay, now we're really... Alright. And still going up. Let's go ahead and drop that off and fire. Whoa, now we're getting a lot of spin. Let's see if we can't correct for that. Whoa, that's not good, that's not good. Okay. Target on. Oh, why are we still spinning? Okay, SAS off. We will do this manually, since the SAS is freaking out. Oh, no. There we go. Let's go ahead and just stay on this 315 line, since we already have kind of a turn in that direction. It's not optimal. Well, we're not actually that far off. Let's go ahead and just try and put this on the 90. We've been kind of inefficient about it. Let's put it on the 90. That's this line here. And let's try and put it at a pitch of about, say, 65. And hold. And if we get some rotation now, I won't be too concerned about it. Alright, when a less thick portion of the atmosphere. Whoa. Hit some turbulence or something, apparently. Very nice. So far, so good. Let's go to the map and check our trajectory here. Oh, we're on the wrong side of the planet. I'm like, that doesn't look like the launch area. Alright, our trajectory is a little wonky. But we're moving upward, which is the important thing. Right now it's showing us about 30 seconds from the peak of our trajectory, and since we're still under acceleration, that peak is going to keep moving up ahead of us, which is exactly what we want. Our fuel, let's go to stage only. Our fuel is doing okay. I would really like to see this higher. So let's aim a bit more straight up and boost our throttle to full. Alright, they've just switched us to an orbital velocity, so that's a good sign. Alright, very good. We're climbing, we're climbing. We might have to use some of the fuel from the next stage. Our fuel's about to run out. There it goes. Alright, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and keep that. I'm gonna turn us... See, this is our trajectory, even though we don't have our engines on. We're gonna keep going like that. I'm going to aim us right at the horizon line, which means we'll be flying parallel to the surface. And that will give us the best chance of circularizing this orbit, because as we fly out this direction, these lines will expand out around the planet. And I'm going to go for that when we are at about 70,000 meters up. A little bit ahead of our apoapsis to give us plenty of time. And... jettison? And... burn. Not too bad. I'm going to put us on the line a little bit more. There we go. See what effect this is having on our orbit. There, you can see it widening out. Doing good. We are still gaining altitude for the time being, which is also very good. Losing fuel rapidly, though. I don't know. I am not optimistic about this. Because unfortunately, here's the thing. We need enough fuel to get this guy back down. Because once he goes into orbit, he will stay in orbit until acted upon by an outside force, kind of, you know, Newtonian physics. So if he ends up getting stuck, then we've got a bit of a problem. Oh, okay, we got a periapsis, and all right, let's cut the engines. Periapsis 72, apoapsis 141. We are in orbit, ladies and gentlemen. So our apoapsis is our point of highest altitude, and that's at 141 kilometers. And then our periapsis is the lowest altitude our orbit gets to, and that is 72 kilometers. And that is acceptable to me. Now, we don't have a whole lot of fuel left. You can see right down here, or up here, that our fuel reserves are a bit limited. However, we do have a lot of RCS, so I think what I'm going to do, we're going to go ahead and speed time up a little bit, let him get a couple of rotations. There we go. It might be hard to see because we're on the dark side of Kerbin, but one of the things I found interesting when I first started playing this game is how, as we're in orbit, the craft actually seems to rotate relative to the planet. And that's because it's keeping the same absolute direction. It was pointing off in that direction, and as it moves around the planet, its direction seems to change relative to the planet, but it's actually always pointing. If you were to pick like a star off in this direction, it would keep pointing at that star as the star sets and rises. So the sun would be a good example to point it at, and you could see that it always points at the sun even when the sun passes behind Kerbin. So let's see, let's actually drop this down, because it is basically free to do that. Oh, I'm on the dark side though. Let's speed it back up. Let's find ourselves a sunrise. This is part of our experimentation protocol. There's the sun. All right, let's computer off, that on. Let's go ahead and point him towards the sun. Like so. Wait, I'm pointing him away from the sun. Let's turn him this way. It's hard to tell when he was backlit. Come on, Jeb. You can do it. Alright, let's lock in on that for now. Now, once the RCS thrusters have finished stabilizing, I'm going to turn them off. Alright, good enough. Because the SAS will kind of eat up your RCS fuel if you're not careful. Alright, so let's go in this view. Actually, let's... How do I cycle? Okay, there's orbital view. Okay, chase view. I think chase view is the one that I want. Okay, so if I do this... Yeah, there we go. So let's turn until we face the sun. Alright, lock in there. What's that look like to you there, Jebediah? Not much, because you're actually up that way. Fair enough. Let's pop back out here. Now, if we turn up the speed, we continue to face the sun even as we're going around the planet. Let's switch back over to auto mode. So there's the sun. And it's about to be a sunset, so we're going to end up pointing at it through the planet very shortly. Yep, there it goes. Now we're off a little bit now, but the concept is sound. All right, so where are we at our orbit here? We'd be looking at a night landing right now, actually. Where's our continent? Whoa. I cannot find... Oh, we're right over it. We're over it right now. Alright, so what we want to do is we actually want... If we want to land over here somewhere, over on this side is where we want to change our orbit. We want to burn against the direction of our travel until our orbit comes down into the atmosphere. Oh, that's cutting it. That's cutting it way too soon, though. Because we're going around this direction. So, what happens if... Whoops. Dang it. That was not at all what I wanted to do. Okay, hold on. Let's... Stop it. Okay, let's click on Kerbin. There we go. That's a little bit easier. If we double click on Kerbin, we select it. And if we drag this around... Okay, now we're back above. Now we slow it down again. See, that gets us hitting... Dang it, stop doing that. Trying to get a pinpoint landing is going to be tricky. We're gonna have to slow down actually pretty darn close, I think. Like, maybe something, whoops. Something like that. Maybe aim for about the middle of the ocean. And I think we actually launched from further up, so let's aim this way some. And maybe just a little bit more wiggle room on that. Alright, that's our maneuver. That's what we're going to try. So when we come around to this point in 28 minutes of in-game time, we will burn in the direction of this blue dot. So we can actually line up with that right now, because that will move with us. So we are prepared. And we burn until we've changed our velocity, 464.3 meters per second. And which they estimate will take about 11 seconds. And that should put us in a downward trajectory back towards our home, our base of operations. So let's speed time up a little bit. Let him go around the backside of the planet. We can double click on him to get back in focus. And we're coming up on the maneuver in 7 minutes, 6 minutes. Let's bring it back down here at about the 1 minute mark. Okay, close enough. Very good. Now we've drifted off our mark a little bit, so I'm gonna adjust a little. Not a problem. Okay, excellent. Now, I can get back in this view. Not that it matters. Let's do it from this view this time. We can do it from either view. Speed it up just a tad. And when we get closer, like about here, we'll start burning. About now. Yep, that's doing it. That's doing it. Okay, and... Alright. Now this started counting back up. I don't know if you were watching it. But that started counting back up. Which meant that we did as good as we were going to get to our planned trajectory. And it looks like we're actually falling a bit short. So I'm going to turn us around while we're still out of the atmosphere. And I'm going to try and speed us up a bit. See if we can't push this line out into the ocean a bit. Oh! Alright, well that's all our fuel. Okay, well this is actually a good time. We can turn on the RCS thrusters. If I hit H, that will propel us in that direction as well. Let's go back to the map view, see if that's having any discernible effect. I'll put my cursor here. Yeah, it seems to be helping. Barely. It's not doing the best job. But I think we will take that. And now, before we hit the atmosphere, let's turn ourselves around, because right now we are heading towards our rate of departure. What? That didn't make any sense. We're pointing towards our destination. And they don't have heat friction in the game yet, but to more accurately simulate what the capsule should be doing on the way back in, we need to put the butt end first. So I'm going to orient approximately this way. And then I'm going to go ahead and start firing the thrusters. Nope, that's not the one. Backwards. And then separate. That, I think, may have given it a little bit of extra momentum down towards the surface. Probably not appreciably. If we come up here, we can turn debris on and see how it's doing. And it looks like it's... Oh, that's our... the structural stuff. The stuff that held the rocket up at the launch pad. That's what that debris is. And then this here is the stage we just jettisoned. And it's more or less following the same trajectory as us, which is fine. It is... Let me switch this again back to the ship. That's fine, because as this gets closer, we're actually going to end up deploying the parachute, which will slow us down. So the stage that we released right there, which is continuing to get further away from us anyway, just from the extra momentum of the release, it will keep going at full speed, whereas we will slow down. And so we don't have any danger of running into it, despite being on the same trajectory. Alright, let us... Oh, we're not throttled up. X. There we go. Let's time warp ourselves all the way into the atmosphere. Time warp has gone to 1. And I'm going to go ahead and do the sort of on-rails version. Whoops. I forgot that I was on time acceleration. Can't really... Whoa. Can't really maneuver that the way that we want. Let me hit caps lock. There we go. That's a little bit better. Oh, jeez. The capsule by itself can rotate, but it's extremely finicky. Let's try that. Hitting caps lock put on the fine-tune controls, turn these things from orange to blue. And it's supposed to help you control it a little bit better. I don't know how well it worked, but let's check out our map. Now, see, this line's coming in. Hopefully, it doesn't come in all the way to shore. Hopefully it comes in all the way just to shore, and we splash down by the shore. But it doesn't come in any further than that, and we have to deal with trying to touch down on land. Our first flight, we landed in the hills and the mountains. This flight, I want to do better. Let's speed this up and see where it takes us. I want to get down in the thickest part of the... Oh, look at that. We are experiencing visual atmospheric effects, which look very, very cool. I love when they added this. They added this, I think, last version. So we're going to wait until the burning is over before we deploy our parachute. So far, so good. Still on track to touch down close by. Right now, we are 26 kilometers away from where we launched. Air friction seems to have gone away. We're going to deploy the drag chute. We might actually get this pretty close. My first run at this ship, I ended up getting an orbit with more fuel than I did this time. But I did not touch down anywhere close to the launch pad. I ended up touching down out in the middle of the ocean somewhere. But so far, so good. Although, we might actually end up hitting the beach instead of the water, now that I'm looking at our trajectory. Can we get in here real close? Right now, it's still predicting the water, but these ends are going to encroach in like a reverse orbital burn as we're slowing down. It's going to be close. In this view, it looks like we're definitely coming down on land. If I had had just a little bit more of the actual liquid rocket fuel to extend, you know, our misstep, or if I hadn't burned so hard retrograde to slow down, I don't think we would have had this problem. But shouldn't be an issue. I just don't know how high up we're actually going to be when we hit. Jeb's not concerned. He is thrilled. Can you see any better now that the chute's deployed? No. Oh, speaking of the chute deploying, we missed it because we were in Jeb's head. Let's turn the SAS off. Oops, that's not the button. Alright. Well, I'm going to call that a successful mission. Chute's deployed well above the surface. So, I don't think that we have anything to be concerned about there. I'm concerned about flipping this up for too long, just because it does tend to think that the ship is falling faster than it actually is. But we'll do it for a little bit, just so we can see it touch down. And let's go to time warp 1. Get in here close. And we've landed. And we stayed upright. Huzzah! Come out and take a victory lap, Jeb. Whee! Clipping through the ground. There we go. Woohoo! We made it back from an orbit And that's going to do it for this video. Next time, I think we're going to give a shot at putting a space station in orbit. So we're going to take a look at getting some lights on there and some solar panels to power the lights. And having, crew quarters on board so that we can swap crewmen back and forth. And that'll be our first step in our Kerbal Moon Expedition or Mun Expedition program. So look forward to that next time. But for now, thank you very much for watching Kerbal Space Program. Say hi, Jeb. Hi. Oh, man. His mouth just kept opening.